time is 6:15. Here is the news edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe, read by Victor Raj. Here are the headlines of the main stories. The government auditor says salaries and allowances of state officials should be reviewed. The Power and Energy Ministry says a fuel price revision for this month will be made tonight. An identification number will be issued for newborns in Sri Lanka from today. The Agriculture Minister decides to request the Cabinet to temporarily suspend importation of rice. Sri Lanka represented at the World Cities Summit 2022 at the Marina Bay Sands, Singapore. First Kumbal Perera of the annual Asala Festival will parade the streets tomorrow. Foreign news, Myanmar military extends emergency rule until 2023. Sports news, an Indian teen weightlifter breaks 2 records and wins gold at the 2022 Commonwealth Games. Local news in detail. The government auditor says that salaries and allowances of state officials should be reviewed. It has pointed out that salaries and allowances received by some officials at various organizations are a huge burden on the economy. Provincial governors have been given 3 vehicles each by the provincial councils, and each vehicle is issued with 600 litres of fuel monthly. Apart from that, they are also entitled to an additional fuel allowance, which is claimed by some governors. Provincial council chairmen also get 3 vehicles and allowances. The Power and Energy Minister said a fuel price revision for this month will be made tonight. They said that they expect to revise the fuel price on the 1st and the 15th of every month according to the fluctuation of prices in the global market. The Department for Registration of Persons has taken steps to issue birth certificates while including a Sri Lankan identification number for newborn babies from today. Commissioner General Vyani Gunathilaka said the birth certificates are issued in a combined process by Department of Registration of Persons and the Registrar General's Department for Babies Born in Sri Lanka. He said the pilot program was launched at Gampaha, Dehiwala, Hanguranketha, Kurunagala, Ratnapura and Tamankadua Divisional Secretariats today. The citizens who obtained birth certificates under the new system would be able to get their national identity cards at the age of 15. He said the Sri Lankan identification number will help to prove the personal identity and store details related to education, health, finance and social information for further reference. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with more local news, Minister Mahinda Amaravira has decided to request the Cabinet to temporarily suspend importation of rice since there are sufficient stocks of the rice in the country. During a discussion with the Seed Importers Association, the minister said that he expects to make a request to suspend rice importation until December. Harvesting in Yala season has commenced. There are sufficient rice stocks in storage complexes which are brought following the permission given by the government. The minister said that the decision was taken to prevent rice mill owners from purchasing paddy in Yala season for low prices. Czech Port City Colombo Private Limited is representing Sri Lanka at the World Cities Summit 2022 to be held at the Marina Bay Sands, Singapore from the 31st of July to 3rd of August 2022. This biennial global event unites city leaders and associations from across 90 countries. Port City Colombo envisions itself the most livable city in South Asia, imbuing technology and sustainability with its smart city concept to enhance living conditions. As the platinum sponsor of the event, the project company showcases the potential of Port City Colombo as a special economic zone and further investment hub to representatives from governments. Though leaders, exports that cooperates from diverse industry sectors. The three-day summit is attended by the Deputy Manager Director of the Checkport City Colombo, Tulsi Alivihare, where he will speak on the topic, How can partnerships transform the development of cities? First Kumbal Perahera of the annual SLA Festival will parade the streets tomorrow evening. After a lapse of 3 years, the general public will be able to watch the pageant this year. Police request devotees who come to watch the historic SLA Perahera of Kandy, Sri Dalada Maligabu, to adhere health safety protocols. Senior Superintendent of the Kandy Police, Chamel Krishanta Ratnayaka, requests the devotees to follow health guidelines issued by the Director General of Health Services. Along with the police, force of 5,000 officers, special forces and tri-forces have been deployed in the Perahera duty to ensure safety. The Embassy of Italy in Colombo said Italy has decided to grant an emergency contribution to Sri Lanka worth €300,000 with a view to improving food security. The embassy said in a statement that contribution will be channeled through the World Food Programme and will consist in the provision of food assistance as well as in targeted cash transfers and distribution of vouchers to the most vulnerable. Minister Douglas Devananda says the EPDP party welcomes the President's call to form an all-party government and move forward. The minister has called upon the other Tamil political parties to accept the invitation of the President and come forward to work together. He asked the Tamil political parties to take proper decisions to solve the current economic crisis. The Supreme Court today further extended its interim order preventing former Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and former Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa from leaving the country until August 4th without the prior approval of the Supreme Court. Other respondents, including former Central Bank Governors Ajit Niwar Kabral, W.D. Lakshman, and former Secretary to the Ministry of Finance S. Saratigala, gave an undertaking through their lawyers that they will not leave the country without the permission of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court 5-judge bench fixed the petitions for support for leave to proceed on Wednesday. Social media activist Daniz Ali, who was recently arrested for forcibly entering the Rupavahini Corporation and disrupting the broadcast, has been further remanded until August 15th by the Colombo Chief Magistrates Court. He was arrested on the night of the July 26th while trying to leave for Dubai on a flight from the Bandar Naika International Airport. 3 accomplices of large-scale drug traffickers and underworld gangsters, Balachandran Pushparaj alias Pukudikanna, were arrested by the STF over a shooting incident in Motwal. The suspects were arrested in Grand Pass area. The STF said the suspects came in a motorbicycle and a 3-wheeler and had carried out the shooting in Modara on June 6th. One person died during the shooting incident. Investigations revealed that the shooting was carried out on the direction of the gangster Pukudikanna. The suspects are residents of Kimbula Ella, Kotahena and Grand Pass areas. That ends local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Litro Chairman Mudita Pera says that the prices of Litro domestic LP gas cylinders will be reduced from Friday. He says that they will lower the price of gas by a greater amount than the recent increase in prices. Speaking to the media, the Litro Chairman said according to the gas price in the global market, it is expected to be reduced by Friday. That ends main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, the Colombo Stock Exchange will be conducting Beyond Basics for the 3rd time, titled Beyond Basics, Setting Standards for Climate Disclosure and Action. The forum is set to take place on 9th August 2022 from 9:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. and will be conducted via Microsoft Teams to enable convenient cases to access to participants. More information can be obtained by contacting Charundeka on charundeka@ks.lk or 011-2356-521 and Tharanga on tharanga@ks.lk or 011-2356-543. Interested parties may also visit CSE's LinkedIn and Facebook pages for further updates. That ends Watchlight. Moving on to world news, headlines first. Myanmar military extends emergency rule until 2023. First grain ship leaves Ukraine under the Russian deal. Japan lodges protest with South Korea over survey ships. World news in detail. Myanmar's military regime has extended its emergency rule until 2023 as the country remains driven by internal fighting following last year's coup. The junta seized power last year after overthrowing Aung San Suu Kyi's democratically elected government. The military has promised to hold free and fair elections in the future, but today it said it needed more time to stabilize the country. The first ship carrying grain has left a Ukrainian port under a landmark deal with Russia. Turkish and Ukrainian officials say the ship left the southern port of Odessa early today. Russia has been blockading Ukrainian ports since February, but the two sides agreed a deal to resume shipments. It is hoped the deal will ease the global food crisis and lower the price of grain. A senior Japanese government official says Japan has lodged a protest with South Korea over recent activities of the country's ships near the Takeshima Islands in the Sea of Japan. South Korea controls the islands while Japan claims them. Japan's government says South Korea is illegally occupying the islands. Deputy Chief Cabinet Secretary Kihara Siji told reporters about Japan's protests today. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Myanmar military extends emergency rule until 2023. First grain ship leaves Ukraine under the Russian deal. Japan lodges protest with South Korea over survey ships. That ends world news. Moving on to development news. Burma's Energy 2022 is an initiative of the Sri Lanka Sustainable Energy Authority together with the United Nations Development Programme in Sri Lanka. The project aims to strengthen rural economies, increase forest cover, and improve the living standards of rural women and sustainable industries and SMEs in the country. By increasing the growth of the suppliers for clean and modern biomass technology in line with the energy policy. That ends development news. Sports news is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Commonwealth Games. Ishan Bandara will take part in boxing under 48 51 kilogram category of the Commonwealth Games today. The match is scheduled to begin around 11 p.m. today. Meanwhile, Chintana Vidanagamage was ranked at the 9th place on the 81 kilogram category of the weightlifting event today. An Indian teen weightlifter battled muscle cramps to break 2 records and win gold at the 2022 Commonwealth Games. Jeremy Larinangas win gave India its 5th medal and 2nd gold at the Birmingham Games. West Indies all-rounder Deandra Dottin, the scorer of the fastest 100 of the women's T20 internationals, has retired from the international game, blaming a negative team environment. Dottin, aged 31, is currently playing for Barbados at the Commonwealth Games. That ends World News.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSP You Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money. Haley's Fabric set a global benchmark in sustainability bagging the coveted Sustainability Impact Award at the recently concluded International Quality Award 2022 held in London. Sri Lanka's largest textile manufacturer was crowned the winner of the new category for its unique process and procedure established to drive sustainability across its core functions. That ends Business News. Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSP You Trust.
On to the economic news. Headline inflation, as measured by the year-on-year change in the Colombo Consumer Price Index, increased to 60.8% in July 2022 from the 54.6% in June 2022. This increase in inflation was driven by the monthly increases in the both non-food and food categories. Accordingly, food inflation increased to 90.9% in July 2022 from 80.1% in June 2022, while non-food inflation increased to 46.5% in July 2022 from 42.4% in June 2022. That ends economic news. Finally, moving on to the weather report. The Met Department says showery and windy conditions are likely to enhance in the western and southern sea areas and over the southwest quarter of the island during the next few days from today, with this strengthening of southwest monsoon. Showers or thundershowers will occur at times in western, Sabragamba, northern and northwestern provinces and in Kandy, Nuwara, Cole and Mathura districts. Showers or thundershowers may occur at several places in Ubud province and in the Ampara districts during the afternoon or night. Strong winds, about 50 km per hour, can be expected at times along the western slopes of the central hills and in the western and southern provinces. That ends weather report. To wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka, let's take a look at the headlines once again. The government auditor says salaries and allowance of staff officials should be reviewed. The Power and Energy Minister says a fuel price revision for this month will be made tonight. In addition, an identification number will be issued for newborns in Sri Lanka from today. The Agriculture Minister decides to request the Cabinet to temporarily suspend importation of rice. Sri Lanka represents at the World Cities Summit 2022 at Marina Bay Sands, Singapore. First Kumbh Parade of the annual Asala Festival will parade the streets tomorrow. Foreign news, Myanmar military extends emergency rule until 2023. Sports news, an Indian teen weightlifter breaks 2 records and wins gold at the 2022 Commonwealth Games. That ends the evening news broadcast on Radio Sri Lanka.